Hi, I'm Jared Wallace, and I'm a Paralympian. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of consistency in block starts. Being a 100-meter sprinter, you have such a short period of time to focus on what actually is happening in the race. You have to have a game plan going in. So the block starts is where everything begins. You want to make sure that you do the same thing every time you get in it, and we're going to go through a little bit of that today. Before we address the block setup, I'd like to address what makes me a Paralympian. 6 years ago, I had a running injury that I had to have surgery for. Ended up having complications in the surgery, and over a 2.5-year period, I had 10 surgeries trying to save my leg. Ended up being an amputation. Ended up getting prosthetics and running devices, and now I'm able to run at the highest level in track and field for the U.S. Paralympic team. The blocks are the first and most important part of a 100-meter race. The setup is one thing that should never change. Between you and your coach during practice, you need to come up with what's the best setup for you and the start that you desire. For me, I take 2 steps from the back line to measure my front block. I mark the ground where it is with my heel, and I take another step. That's where I set the front block. Then from there, I take this front block, put my heel next to it, and measure that in 4 fingers. That's where I set up the back block. Now that I know, anytime I get into a race, the blocks are no longer concerned. They're gonna be where they need to be so that my body's gonna be where it needs to be. Come runners, take your mark and set. Once the starter says on your mark, consistency is still vital. I take 2 steps over the blocks, and then once I get to the line, I take 3 steps past the line. I take a deep breath in, and I'm focusing on that line. The reason I take 3 steps out is the other athletes are behind me. I have no distractions, and I've got tunnel vision on the point I'm supposed to focus on. Next thing I do is I smile, and I nod my head. What that does is it allows me to be confident. It reminds me that I can win this race, and now it's time to get into the blocks. I walk myself back, I put my back foot just before the block, and I kick out my front leg. Get it nice and relaxed, and I bring it into its position. Once the front foot's set, I bring the back foot onto the block, put some tension on it, and drop my knee to the ground. From here, I walk my hands back, I clean my left hand, I place it on the track. At this point, I look back forward. I remind myself of that spot that I'm gonna look at, think about breathing and staying relaxed. I clean off my right hand and place it on its spot on the track. Now I want to find my center of gravity, make sure that my shoulders are in line over my hands, and then find a spot on the track about 3 feet in front of the line that I can focus on. I wait for the starter to say set. Once he says set, I come up into my set position, I breathe in, and wait for the gun. Remember, consistency is the key. I'm Jared Wallace, thanks for watching, and I'm out.